A man was injured at a bar on Fort Wayne's south side late last night. Now, we aren't able to show the full video that has been circulating on social media at this time. We are trying to contact the person who took the original video, but these are a few still images. Now, the full video shows a man being assaulted by a group of men where some explicit language and racial slurs were being used. It happened around 11 at Pike's Pub off Winchester Road. Officers were called out for a reported disturbance. They say the fight ended before they got to the scene. Police say they arrived, found the victim, and talked with him. The victim did not want to give information on the people responsible for his injuries. This morning, people gathered outside of the bar in protest of the incident. One woman that went to the bar was told they were closed for the day.
To me, I would want to stay open to give the people of Fort Wayne, Indiana, the right answers. We want to know, why did that happen? How did something like that, so brutal, happen inside your establishment and no one stopped it? So there we have it, negligence. So we're not having the proper officers being present at these establishments, security, anything in that nature. We definitely need to be protected as being brown.
Police say they conducted a follow-up investigation this morning. All information will now be forwarded to the department's Criminal Investigations Division for further investigation.
Before I have to get into all of this, one of my followers or subscribers in the Discord actually put this video in there, and I had an opportunity to watch the actual video, the cell phone footage. Now, I can't show the cell phone footage on here, mainly because you know how YouTube gets when you put fight commentaries, well, not commentaries, but fight videos up there. They might age restricted, or at the worst they might remove it and strike it. So I'm not going to go and say show the video, but I'm gonna explain what I did see in the video. So in the video, you had this man, he was inside of a bar, and this is where awareness comes in. You have to be aware of your surroundings. This black man, he's wearing one of those I call it the highlighter vest, but it's usually the vest that people use or wear when they're in construction or something like that. And he looked like he's at the bar, maybe getting a drink or something like that. When I look around the bar, he literally is completely outnumbered. He is the only black person in that bar, the only black person in that bar. Everybody else that's in that bar is lily white, whether it's white men or white women. And then all of a sudden, everything is calm or whatever for the first 30 seconds of the video. And then that's when the escalation starts to happen. Voices start to get raised. My initial thought going into the video was, I thought that the bikers were going to start fighting each other. That was my initial thought, because I didn't even see the black man at first until the camera went in his direction. And then all of a sudden, he starts getting hit on by one person. Then he fights back to defend himself. Then 2 or 3 more come in and they start to hit him as well. Before you know it, it's like a 6 versus 1. Then you see another person picking up a chair. It looks like the leg of the chair might have hit him in the top of the head. He's still fighting, holding his own. He gets his vest ripped off. And then all of a sudden, when that happens, he's completely outnumbered. He can't defend himself anymore. One of them ends up putting him in a headlock. And not holding him down, and while he's hitting him on the top of the head, another one is standing next to him, kicking him on the side of the face. So he's getting hit on the head, kicked on the side of the face multiple times. And one thing that stuck out to me outside of the fight itself, or should I say the jumping, was I noticed there was a banner there, and the banner had Trump's name in big bold red letters with black outlining, and that let me know right then and there what type of bar this was. But if that wasn't enough to convince you that this was an anti-black attack, was when I was listening to the video and I heard what they said, maybe 2 or 3 times at the most, they said, get that N-word, beat that N-word's A. Go look at the video and you can hear it clear as day of them saying that. That's when the fight became anti-black, even though I truly believe it would have been anti-black regardless. But that right there solidified it for me, was when I heard them say those words multiple times. Even if it was just one time, they made sure to emphasize that. And I wasn't surprised that they said it either. Now, what I will say is this, and let me just give this disclaimer. This is no slight to the victim, the black man, with what I'm about to say, because this could be for any person. You have to be very aware of your surroundings. You are not going to be welcome in every single place that you go to. He literally stepped into very hostile territory. They probably had all eyes on him the moment he walked through that door, and they was keeping tabs on him from the time he walked in. And speaking of tabs, allegedly this happened because he wasn't going to pay his tab, which I don't believe. Then as I was reading through some of the comments, people were saying that he was going to pay his tab, but they were getting very hostile with him. And then that's when it escalated to beyond to the point where we are now. So apparently, on one hand, they're saying he wasn't going to pay his tab. On the other hand, he's going to pay his tab, but they were being hostile to him. It's almost like they were trying to hurry up and get him out of there, but they weren't giving him enough time to do what he was supposed to do. And then they used that as an excuse to attack him and jump him and call him the N-word. I'm more lenient towards the latter, that he was going to pay the tab, and they kept trying to rush him up out of there. And when they did, that's when it became from verbal to physical. But you have to be very aware of your surroundings, because he walked into this bar, it's nothing but white guys there, and they're all bikers. And we're going to talk about these bikers because I learned something else about this particular biker gang right here. And understand, when you see that, that's your cue to turn around and leave, because I would have left. I would have went in there, looked around, and turned around and got up out of there and said, you know what, whatever drink it is I'm trying to get is not worth it. Maybe I can go to a convenience store of some kind, maybe a liquor store. I don't have to go to this bar. And they just happen to all be there. No, or maybe he's been there before, but they were never there. But I don't know. And this was one of the things that he ran into them. Or maybe he was there and they all came in. I don't know what it was, because the video picked it up when the confrontation was getting ready to happen. But you have to be very aware of your surroundings wherever it is you are going, especially if you are the only black person there. And he was the only black person there. Now, going into this biker gang, I found some very interesting information about them. And I believe they're called the Outlaw Biker Gang. One piece of information that I found out about this particular gang, this one right here, the one that did the attack, is this. It says the Outlaws Motorcycle Club has been previously linked to criminal activity in a 2013 federal case where a member of the Fort Wayne chapter, where this attack happened, quote, engaged in extortion and the distribution of prescription drugs in the role of operation with the Outlaws Club, which basically says to me that this gang, this biker gang, has ties to not only white supremacist values, but they also have ties to drug trafficking. Because I'm willing to bet prescription drugs is not the only thing that they was moving. It was probably moving something even more potent than that. It's just that this is what they got busted on. So they have a history that dates back many years. But furthermore, I said, let me go ahead and do some even more research on this biker gang, even beyond the Fort Wayne chapter, and it led me to this. So this reads, some outlaw motorcycle gangs, or known as the OMGs, have a history of hate-filled racial allegiances, and there are growing links between these groups and white supremacists, such as shared symbology and practices. This is outlaw biker culture and white supremacist subculture have overlapping symbols and languages, which makes it easier for members to interact and form connections. Cross membership. It says there is increasing cross membership between the two groups. Racist bikers may be attracted to white supremacy, while some white supremacists are drawn to the image and power of motorcycle gangs. Cooperation. Outlaw motorcycle gangs and white supremacist groups may cooperate on social and even criminal activities. Explicitly white supremacist biker gangs. Some biker gangs are explicitly white supremacists, such as the Aryan Nation's Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club, which is considered a neo-Nazi group. And then they give examples of incidents in which they carried out their racial tendencies. It says 17 members of the Hells Angels were involved in a KKK style attack on 3 black men, chasing and attacking them while using racial slurs. In 2005, 2 members of the Outlaws MC allegedly committed a racist attack on a Haitian man. And the last one reads, the Mongols MC is described as racist and hostile to the presence of black Americans in bars or clubs where they are present. And that last one plays out just like the scenario, the story, and which is the subject matter of this video. And the last one says use of hate symbols. It says, while some outlaw bikers may use symbols like the SS bolts or the iron cross for shock value or rebellion, these symbols are also used by white supremacists, and the meaning can be ambiguous. So there you have it. So as you can see by this part right here that I looked up, no surprise that they called this man the N-word. These bikers are indeed white supremacists. They have staunch anti-black views, and this guy was the perfect target for them. And like I said, he was outnumbered. He was the only black person in that bar versus what looked to be well over probably 30 people in that bar. And it's not even a big bar, so they're all cramped up in there. There's not a lot of space to move. And to go back to what the woman was saying at the end, they was interviewing this black woman. She was saying, why did anyone not step in to help? This is why you have to also be socially aware. They didn't step in to help because one, they're on code. Two, they agreed with what they were doing because they didn't want him there either. That's why no one stepped in or intervened. Now, I was looking at something else, and they had talked to the owner of the bar. And one of the things the bar's owner said is similar to what Donald Trump said back in 2017 when it came to them people down in Charlottesville, when he said there are good people on both sides. The bar owner said in so many words that there's two sides to the story when they were asking about what happened. That was something that they stuck with, saying there's two sides to every story. Listen, the bar owner knows exactly what went down, but them saying there's two sides to every story is a way for them to try to protect themselves from any legalities, as if that's not going to already happen, because I'm almost certain that the victim is going to take out a hefty, or should take out a hefty lawsuit against this bar. Now, of course, like I said, the story that they're running with is that he wasn't going to pay his tab. He was going to try to skip out on his tab. And that's why they attacked him. Which, by the way, if you skip out on your tab or something like that, that shouldn't lead to what they did. If you feel that type of way about it, you should have had security there. I don't know if they had security there, and let the security deal with it. Those biker white supremacists, they're not security. They're not paid to do what they did. And number two, if the story comes out that he was trying to pay his tab, but they were being hostile towards him, that's not going to look good for the bar owner, because they didn't do anything to stop it. They just let it go on. They just let it happen. They could have tore the bar up, but as long as they got that black guy and pinned him to the ground and beat him on the head and hold him in a what looks to be like a chokehold, and kick him and all types of stuff, hey, that was all that was needed. So hopefully the black guy, the victim in this, they go all the way. Hopefully he lawyers up with a good lawyer, and they sue this bar into oblivion, to the point where them only being closed temporary because they're trying to let the dust settle becomes into a permanent closing, and let the dust that became dust turn into dirt, and you bury them underneath it. That's as far as I'm concerned, that's what it's going to have to be. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments, and I will talk to you in the next one. But wait, there's more. So this update fell into my lap, and I have to give a shout out to Black Rage for actually sending it to me, because if he hadn't, I probably would not have done my due diligence, although I should have, and actually looked for it. But this actually took the legwork out for me. So shout out to Black Rage for this. So this is an update that came on June 5th. And mind you, I'm actually recording this on June 5th. That now puts a lot more perspective in it for me, where this witness at the bar said that the black guy, always pays his tabs, and that the owner, who I found out was a woman, actually lied about what actually happened. And I was sitting there saying to myself, something about the owner's story didn't make sense, because when they were questioning the owner, they literally said in so many words that there's two sides to every story. And I'm saying to myself, what kind of response is that to a situation that happened at your bar that has now made the news and has gone viral all over social media, and then caused you to close your bar for like a whole day? So something about it just didn't seem right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the actual story based on the witness account. It says a viral video showing a group of white men beating a black customer at Fort Wayne, Indiana bar sparked considerable outrage and a quick rationalization from the establishment's owner. There are two sides to every story. Pike's pub owner Kelly Rost, who was not present when the fight occurred last Friday night, said the melee originated after the black man refused to pay his tab. But a witness to the fight who knows the victim said Rost is dead wrong. The bartender told him he could have another drink, according to the witness at WANE TV in Fort Wayne. The owner's boyfriend, who told him he was cut off, and the owner's boyfriend was way more drunk than he was. Ross' boyfriend appeared to be on a power trip when he kicked the black man, a regular customer, out of the bar, said the witness, who was granted anonymity for fear of retaliation against him and his family from the Outlaws motorcycle club who frequent the bar. Many of the participants in the fight wore vests with the name Outlaws imprinted on them, and at least one person could be heard shouting racial epithets at the victim, and y'all heard the audio so you could hear it for yourself. He planned on paying, the witness said. He wasn't trying to leave without paying. It was never about paying the tab because he always pays his tab. The Allen County Sheriff's Department, meanwhile, just assigned a detective to the case, a public information officer told WANE on Monday. It is very early in the investigation and he is still getting the case together, the spokesperson said when asked if federal authorities might be called to assist in the probe of what many believe was a racially motivated hate crime. That includes the witness who spoke to the reporter. I want everybody to not have to feel like they're walking on eggshells when they go into the bars, he said. Whether they're white, they're black, Mexican, Latino, Dominican, everybody should be entitled to go into any bar. The unidentified victim was about to leave the establishment when he was confronted by the bikers, the witness recalled. 3 or more of them walked in before the victim even got to reply. They were telling him that he needed to leave. He went to leave, and that's when the owner's boyfriend grabbed his arm and said, "You're going to pay your tab," and then they put in parentheses expletive, but we pretty much have gauged now that they said the N-word at that part. And that's when the Outlaws tightened up and squeezed around him. The witness said one of the bikers threw the first punch, hitting the victim in the face. That prompted others to join the attack, outnumbering the victim 8-1. He had been kicked and punched repeatedly by the time police were called. The fight had ended when Allen County deputies dispatched to have an intoxicated subject removed from the bar. So as you can see how they spun that story right there. This sounds very different from what the witness is telling us right now versus the story that initially went out there. The victim, who declined to identify his attackers, was taken to a local hospital in fair condition. The Outlaws are affiliated with an Illinois motorcycle club whose roots trace back to 1935, according to WANE. It has now more than 1,700 members across 176 chapters worldwide. The state states the U.S. Department of Justice, which classifies the club as an outlaw motorcycle gang that uses its club as a conduit for criminal enterprises, including weapons and drug trafficking. And I don't have to go into really much more of that because in the first part of the video that I did, I went into some of their criminality in there. So they've been dibbing and dabbling for quite some time. So that's the update from the witness. So the story that they were giving out that he was trying to leave without paying his tab was a flat out lie. They say he's a frequent customer and the owner just happened to not be there that day, and the person running everything was the owner's boyfriend, and he was the one that took it way overboard. Meanwhile, he was so intoxicated himself. And then that's when it blew up into what it became. So that's all I have right now is the form of an update as it pertains to this. If there's any more to come by the time this video gets uploaded, then I will insert it right here.